Hey guys, how you doing? So my topic for my FMEA, or my piece of equipment that I chose, is brush hogs, and for my FMEA, my failure mode effect analysis. So I chose brush hogs, and so let's get started. My first thing we're going to look at is I have a video for you guys, and it's just kind of to show you like kind of the operation of a brush hog, like what a brush hog, what you're looking for in a brush hog. Kind of, if you don't know how a brush hog works, just kind of walk you through it and show you kind of what its purpose, what it does, and how it functions and operates. So here we go. Right here you have your tractor. Usually they're ran by tractors, and here he is. He's mowing this bar ditch out. Usually brush hogs, what you do is they're used to like cut down grass, mow grass for the most part. So he's mowing this bar ditch out, and so you see right here, I don't know if you can see really well, but there is a PTO shaft, or a power takeoff shaft is what it's called. That's what runs the blades that cuts the grass. It's what powers the blades that cuts the grass underneath the brush hog. And so on this brush hog, this particular brush hog, this is a batwing brush hog, what they call it. And that means that on either side of the brush hog, it folds up and down, which allows it to be safer to move down the roads. If you're driving down the road, it's a narrower, so you can fit through gates. They're usually longer, they're usually wider and bigger, so you can cover more ground with them as well. And so you just see him mowing this bar ditch out. Usually, typically, brush hog is meant to just mow grass down, to clean up pasture, clean up dead grass after the winter, and clean up hay meadows, hay fields, getting ready for haying season, or just to clean up the bar ditch to make it look nicer with the grass mowed. But which is what he's doing here. But I just wanted to show you guys that, and kind of show you the purpose for what they do. And so, that being said, I'll move on back onto the PowerPoint. First thing I have for my failure modes is my hydraulic lines, or hydraulic lines on a brush hog. So the hydraulic lines, it's what allows you to be able to, like this, like I was talking about a batwing, this is a batwing. It's what allows you to be able to fold those sides up and to be able to lower or raise the height of the brush hog to whatever height you want to cut the grass. So usually you fill up the hydraulic fluid in your tractor, and that's what runs those hydraulic lines, and it runs that's what allows you to be able to control the tractor, or the brush hog, from inside the tractor that you're using to operate it. And so that's what I picked for my first one. I picked the criticality level to be 3. Your scale is from 1 is the highest and 4 is the lowest. While the brush hog is running, your hydraulic lines don't really pose a threat or pose really a risk to the operator necessarily. And you need to just make sure you're taking care of your hydraulic lines, making sure that they're staying in good condition, and they don't have any leaks or cracks in them. And usually you do all right. They're not going to really cause much of a threat. Next is on brush hogs. Here, this is the front of the brush hog, that's the back of the brush hog. But on the front of brush hogs, or around the edges on the bat wings, all the way around the front, most of them have safety chains which hang off the front of them. Some of these smaller ones, they have rubber mats or rubber guarding that goes around the front of them. And that's really a safety precaution. This is my second one I picked. And to be honest with you, it really is important. I listed its criticality level at 2 because, I mean, without these right here in the front, you're setting yourself up for a really big risk. Something getting thrown out from underneath the brush hog when you hit a stump or a rock. It could get thrown out underneath the brush hog. It could hit the operator. If you're on a no cab tractor with no protection around you, it could hit the person operating it, driving the tractor. And if you're in a cab tractor, I mean, it could hit the windows. It could hit something. It could break the windows. And so that's really important. I mean, that's just safety precaution. I mean, that's just manufactured. That's what you're supposed to have on there. And so really that's just important to have. It's just to keep stuff from getting thrown out from underneath the brush hog, because as you can see, there's a side on all the way around the back, starting right here, it goes around. But right here on the front, there is nothing if you don't have your safety chains or your rubber mat or rubber guarding. So that's important to have. Your criticality level should be, that's pretty high. I'm saying that's 2, and it can almost be a 1 in some circumstances, depending on what kind of terrain you're mowing over. But that's pretty important to have, because that could cause a serious accident with something getting thrown out underneath it. Next, I have blades. I have your blades that are underneath cutting the grass. I mean, I listed this criticality level as 1. 1's the highest. I mean, it's a blade. I mean, it could cut your leg off, it could cut your arm off, cut your hand off. Most of the time, you're not going to be messing with the brush hog while it's running. You shouldn't be, but you shouldn't be reaching your hand up underneath it at any circumstance if you have it running. So I listed it as 1, and even if it's not running and you want to try and change the blades or sharpen the blades, you still I mean, they can still cut you. They cut your hand, you cut your arm, cut your clothes on accident, snag your clothes. So that's really the criticality level on that should be 1, because that's important. I mean, that thing could cut limbs off right there, and so that poses a really big risk, especially when you have them running. When they're not running, the risk goes down a lot, but still they can cut your hand if you're changing blades, sharpening blades. So that's really important to know that. I mean, that's important. That is a high criticality level on that. It should be. And last, we have the power takeoff. And so the power takeoff, I kind of mentioned it earlier in the video, but it's what hooks up right here on the front of the brush hog. So here's the front of the brush hog. Here's your safety chains right here. The power takeoff is this yellow, if you can see, this yellow kind of cased in shaft right here. It's kind of long, and it has a hookup right here, and this is what hooks up to your gearbox right here on your brush hog, and it runs your blades. But it hooks up to the back of the tractor. Here's a small tractor and kind of a picture to show you, but you can see. But it hooks up to the back of your tractor, and it latches in, and you can turn on your PTO, which stands for power takeoff. You can turn that on from up in your tractor. Your controls are in your tractor, and that's what runs. It rotates at a really high speed. Usually they run about 540 RPM speed. Some things run at 1,000 RPM speed. It just depends on what you're running. Most brush hogs run about 540. But it is important to have a big enough tractor to be able to run brush hogs, the right size brush hog for the right size speed it needs to run. I listed this criticality level at 1 because without the power takeoff running and in operation, you're not going to have anything else functioning on the deal, because that's what powers the whole brush hog. That's what turns your blades. That's what makes your blades turn. And so without the power takeoff, your brush hog's not running. And so I listed that criticality level at 1. I mean, you can get snagged up in the PTO. Your clothes could hang in it. Your fingers could hang in it. It could rip your hand off, your finger off, your arm off. I mean, whatever. Your hand could get caught in it. So that's really important. That's why I listed it at 1, because it runs the brush hog. I mean, most of your risk comes from the PTO. If PTO is not running, then your risk isn't there for most part. And so your PTO is your most important part. And so that's all I have for you guys.